the Apple Crafts Podcast. This is a podcast about knitting with a little bit of crochet. And if this is your first time, I'm so glad you're here. And if you're returning, I am also so glad that you're here. And from what I can tell, we've had a whole lot of new people. So just want to let you know where you can find me if you're interested in knitting and crafty stuff. I'm on Instagram as Apple Crafts Fine Yarn. And I also have a Facebook group, which has been pretty silent lately because Facebook issues, if you know, you know. But that group is still there, and that is under Apple Crafts, or APL Crafts, that's how it's written out. And you can find me on Ravelry as Apple Crafts. And it is linked down below in the description bar under my link tree. You'll find all my links for there. And you will also find me on my two shops, Handmade Buyers Market and on Etsy. So, how are you doing? This is my second time recording this because the first time I recorded this was this morning. I had no coffee. I actually took my first sip of coffee on that video, and I have learned 10 years ago, never do anything until I've had a cup of coffee. We won't talk about how disjointed that video was. It was bad. It was really bad. So I'm doing a do-over. Hopefully this won't be as bad. We'll see. So this episode is going to be about the history of my channel. Because if you watched my Vlogtober, I believe it was the second or the third week, I hit 300 subscribers. And in the YouTube world, 300 subscribers is a very small number. And most people, I assume, would wonder why somebody would be so excited over 300 subscribers. So I figured, you know, since there's so many new people, I would let you know about the history of my channel. So, to start, I started this channel, I can't count the first two videos because they were practice runs. So the first official video was in February of 2018. I think it was the middle to the end of February in 2018. And it started out with, you know, all the things knitting, showing off finished objects, blah, blah, blah. Of course, when you start, you don't normally have subscribers. So I begged and pleaded and begged some more for my friends and family to please subscribe to my channel so that I can get people to watch me. No. It was like pulling teeth. Now, I don't know about you or people you know, but I tend to see a lot of people who get a lot of support from friends and family, and I get jelly. I'm like, how come I can't get my friends and family to watch a video or watch an episode or subscribe to my channel or give me a like or anything? And no. So I think it took, oh boy, maybe a year to even get 40 subscribers on this channel, begging and pleading and trying to get people to watch and doing all the things. And you know, I put a video up at least every 2 weeks. Sometimes I think I might have gone a month, but that was my regular schedules, every 2 weeks, somewhere around there. And I don't remember how the back end was on YouTube. Now what they have is a section where you could put in tags, kind of like hashtags, but you're not using the hashtag bar symbol or pound sign. I don't remember that was there back then. Trying to get people to follow you on YouTube is a crapshoot anyway, because their algorithms are all over the place, and I'll talk about algorithms later. But all that to say, I did all the things, and I couldn't get anyone really to watch my channel. So I did it religiously. Oh boy, I know we moved here that same year. So at least until the end of 2018, and then I started slowing down a little bit because I was just like, nobody's watching, I'm wasting my time, what am I doing? But I'm stubborn. I am so stubborn. You have no idea. So, you know, sometimes I'd get this spur of motivation, and I would do another couple of months of podcasting, and then I'd taper down again, and then get another, you know, spur of motivation, and it'll taper down again. And then finally, in 2020, beginning of 2020, I kind of just gave up somewhere around there, end of 2019, beginning of 2020. I was just like, let's do something else. So then I turned this channel into a DIY channel because, as you know, COVID, world shut down. What are you going to do? Well, we did house projects because this house is a fixer-upper, a big fixer-upper. We got most of it done now, but back then we were just really kind of ramping it up. So I was like, well, this is a good chance to maybe start this channel over and do some DIY stuff and kind of how like YouTube used to be before it got all flashy, you know, like homemade videos where it's kind of rough around the edges. And so I did that for a few months. We did flooring videos, how to put it in the water softener, and the water softener video is still up, by the way, if you've got a rain soft, because apparently there's not a lot of videos out there for installation and stuff on the type of rain soft that we have. So that has a lot of views. So I did that for a little while. That didn't really bring anybody. Then in 2021, I decided to turn it into a gardening channel, thinking, okay, well, there's a whole lot of gardeners out there. There's a huge uptick of gardening podcasts. Let me see if I can do that. Now, you're probably wondering, why am I changing gears like that? It's because, and I've learned this now, I like being able to share things. And the DIY and the gardening was more about teaching people a different style. Because, especially with my gardening channel, because with my gardening channel, you know, if you watch gardening channels on YouTube, there's always these beautiful gardens, and everybody, you know, has things that mostly turn out right. And, you know, my thought was, let's do a gardening channel where things just look okay. You know, more like a real life, what does a real life garden actually look like, as opposed to like these beautiful curated things, right? Anyway, so begged and pleaded again, you know, try to get people to watch. No, I think the most I ever got were 52 subscribers, and this is after 5 years. So in the end of 2021, it was kind of like my, I don't want to say it's my last hurrah, because like I said, I'm stubborn, but in my head it was like my last hurrah, so to speak, of the last thing I was going to try to do to get people to go to my channel. I went back to knitting, and I started this series, which I will tag up here because I think it's interesting, is patterns under 50 projects. So what I like to do, actually it's not even what I like to do, it's just what I gravitate toward, and I've talked about this before. I have a natural gravitation toward patterns that don't have a lot of projects on them. And it's not because I'm seeking them out, it's just because I like the pattern, and I'm not afraid to just figure it out or modify it or add size or any of that stuff. Like, no rhyme. I'm very adventurous in that way. So that's what that was about. So I just kind of highlighted everything that I had made that was a pattern, even under some well-known people that just never got a lot of projects. So I did that. Those got hardly any views. And then I think my last video for that was April of 2022. So several months go by, you know, nothing. I think at this point I had lost subscribers. I might have been down to like 46, 45, somewhere around there. And then I get this feeling of motivation again. I'm like, because, you know, stubborn. So I make a video in November, I believe it was, of how to wash your knitwear, because I've noticed that a lot of people who don't knit or crochet are afraid of getting handmaids because they think that washing your handmaids is a lot of work. So I made that video, and I'll link that up here too if you wanted to watch, of how to wash your handmaids, because it's not that hard at all. It takes, I mean, really what it comes down to with washing your handmaids is having the space to lay it out flat. If you have the space, cool. If you don't, then yeah, you may have to finagle somewhere. So I started with that, and I got some views. And I was like, okay, all right. So then I did another video. I was making a quote unquote ugly Christmas sweater. And one of those yarns was a bleeder. So what I did, and honestly, I don't do tutorials, and that's probably not the best way that I did it, but what I did was for that video was talking about how to manage the, what do you call those? Color block? Not color block. Color catchers. How to manage the color catchers for the bleeding sections of an outfit or sweater. So I did that video. I got some views. I was like, okay, that's weird, but hey, let me keep going. So then I did another video, blocking a shawl, and it had a picot edge, so that was fun. That was before I got my Knit Pro thingies with the multi teeth on it. That video got some views, so I was like, okay, well, let me give it one last go for realsies this time, for realsies. So I think at that point I may have gotten 60 subscribers, so it was starting to go back up, but it was still, you know. And I did, it wasn't a Vlogmas video, but it was a video where I went to the Opry Hotel down in Nashville. They always have their Christmas lights, and I was trying to film some of the Christmas lights because they changed it up last year where now you have to pay to go see the lights where it used to be free. And I really think it's because we just have like literally 100 people a day coming here every day for the last 10 years. So now there's too many people, so you got to pay to go in. So I didn't know that till I got there. But all the information was in there, and I was like, hey, should I give this one last go? You know, since I was already at the 65 mark, I was like, well, let me see if I can get to 100. If I can get to 100, then I'll keep the podcast going and see where it goes. And if it doesn't go anywhere, if it drops off, then I'm done. Done, right? So I did a giveaway for that video, and I hit 100 and sent out the giveaway thing, the prize, and started doing more videos. So I did a yarn stash video that did pretty decent. And when I say decent, you have to understand when you're looking at in a 2-week time span of releasing a video and you get 5 views, almost everybody's going to say that's crap, right? So for me, if I'm getting 20 views in 2 weeks on a video, you might as well have given me 1 million. You know, that was just like, whoa, where are these numbers coming from? Because that's, you know, you're not used to that. Because that's a large number if you're used to 5 and all of a sudden you're getting 20 or 25, right? So I did yarn stash videos. It was like in the 40s or something like that. And then I did project bags, and I did, I know at the turn of the year, my plans for 2023, what I want to knit, all that stuff. So, and the views just kept coming. So I was like, I had imposter syndrome. I was like, what's going on? Like, you know, like it's felt weird. It felt really weird to be at a place where a lot of people who start a podcast are at their first month or their second month or something like that. And it took me 5 years, and now here I am. So I was like, okay, well, this moment, I'm going to keep this momentum going. So that's pretty much what I've been doing. You know, every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, I try to put a podcast out, and people are watching now. Sometimes I might get 20 to 30 views a video. Sometimes I'll get closer to 100. And you never really know where it's going to go. But I try not to get sad if I got, you know, a set of videos that end up having like 100 views, and then I'm getting something with 30, because I remember where I came from, and I'm like, it's still better than 5 after 2 weeks. So, you know, I'm still doing good. You know, people are still watching. And then subscribers came. And I was like, and it just kept going and going and going. And now I'm at like 350, and it's like, I don't know how to react other than to be super excited about the fact that somewhere in YouTube land, people are going to watch me now. So that's the quick and dirty of the history of this channel. And that's why I'm excited that I have 350 subscribers. So I'm so thankful that you're here. Now, to talk about algorithms, you can do all the things and people won't find you. Or you could do all the things and people will find you, and nobody ever knows how it's going to be. Other than the fact that whatever you're watching on YouTube, you're going to get a recommendation column of the similar types of things of what you're watching. So if you're watching knitting channels or knitting podcasts, it's going to recommend a bunch of knitting podcasts. If somebody is talking about embroidery in that knitting podcast, you're probably going to get a couple of recommendations for embroidery or cross stitch or whatever. And it never really goes beyond that. And so usually what they try to do is push the channels that people see the most, or have the most subscribers, or more subscribers than normal, which is fine. But me, having done this for 5 years and I'm only now just being seen, I'm like on a mission. So while I have a wide variety of channels that I watch that is a public playlist, so you can see everybody that I'm following, I purposely, because I don't really get the recommendations on my side, on my recommendation column, I purposely go into people's channels to see who they follow, to see if there's anybody who has hardly anyone. And once I do that, I'll watch them, and if I jive, then I go all the way to the beginning and I will watch every single video. I'm not going to like every single video because at some point it's kind of, it kind of depends, especially if you're going back 5-6 years, which I will go back 5 or 6 years to watch your videos. Is there really a point when it's that far back? I don't know how that algorithm works. The newer stuff, yeah, sure. So I've noticed that even with that, and I do this on the regular, I don't get recommendations for smaller channels. So you have to search for those channels, which sucks, because if you've been doing this for a while, and I gotta tell you, a lot of the channels that I'm gonna share with you today, they've been doing it for 2, 3, 4 years, some even 6 years. Nobody knows they're around because that algorithm doesn't even show them. You have to actively search for these people. So that's a quick and dirty on how the algorithms work. Now what I'm going to do, actually I filmed this part this morning too, so you're going to see an earlier version of me. My hair isn't dyed, and different clothes, and a very tired, disjointed me. I'm going to read off a list of all the small channels that I watch, and I capped it at 1,000 subscribers. And if they haven't posted in a year or over a year, I didn't share those two. And I think there were only like 1 or 2 on my list where they met that criteria where they wouldn't be on the list. So it's a very long list. So I am going to go ahead and share that with you. And what I would love for you to do, I'm going to link everybody down in the down bar, the @ symbol and their name. So all you have to do is just click it and it'll take you to their channel. I would love for you to visit one of them or 2 of them or all of them, and give them a subscribe. You don't have to even tell them that I sent you. Just go, just watch them. I would adore that if you could do that. So I'm going to put that video in after this, and yeah, thank you for being here so much. You have no idea how much I appreciate you being here. So thank you so much. And I will see you in a couple weeks. Bye. Look at this list. Writing on the sides. This is a long list. I was going to give a little snippet of each one, but we'd be here forever. So I'm really just going to read it off, because this is already going to take me 5 minutes just to read this off. It's a long list. And, feel free to find and watch 1, 2, 3, all of them. Whatever. Okay. Hollywood Knitter, Ash Christine, Knittin' in the Heights, Knit 1 T2, Bobblehead Knits, 3 of Skeins, Haley at Someday Knits, Sweet Pea Sid's Inspiration, Crafty Bee's Florida Knitting, Talks Knits, Lee Knits, The Skein Witch, Granny Pan Knits, Tenia, The Breakfast Crew, All We Make Is Good, K-Zip Knits, Simple Knit Co., Mystery Mouse Knitting, Vanessa D. Crafty Planty Life, Midwest Stitches, Studio Nora, Knit Now, Swatch Later, Half Calf Crochet, Carol Beck, and Macy B at Little Miss Knits. So my cap was at 1,000 subscribers, and if they posted anything within the last year, because otherwise the list would be a little bit longer. So not all of these are just knitting. A lot of what I just named off, they also do crochet. It's just is not in the name of the podcast. So give them a look. If you are, I don't think I'd be able to do it off the top of my head. People who are specifically both. I can give it a try. Want me to give it a try? Granny Pan Knits does both. Tenia does both. Breakfast Crew. All We Make Is Good does both. Mystery Mouse Knitting does both. I believe Crafty Planty Life does both. I also know she does embroidery, cross stitch. Midwest Stitches does both. Knit Now, Swatch Later, I believe, does both. Half Calf Crochet does both. Carol Beck is mainly crochet. Hollywood Knitter does both. Ash Christine does both. Knitting in the Heights, I believe, does both. Knit 1T2, I think she does both. Three of Skeins does both. Actually, they're sisters, and one only crochets and the other one knits. So that's an interesting one. Sweet Pea Sid's Inspiration is mostly tutorial. So if you are a crochet, you like to do crochet and like tutorials, that's your go-to. Crafty Bees Florida does both. Lee Knits does both. That's off the top of my head. It's early. I haven't had a half cup of coffee yet, but go check them out. I might do a vlog next. I don't know. And I have this idea for my next podcast, so stay tuned for that. It'll be an interesting one. So I hope this morning finds you well, or whenever you're watching. And have a great day or evening, and go make something. Bye.